Hey, 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 Facebook Live. It's been a minute. But anyway, trusting God that you and your family are taking this opportunity to actually grow, to actually get closer to the Lord, get closer to those that you and I say that we truly, truly love and care for. Hi, Rick. I love you, brother. No Puerto Ricans allowed here. Just saying. Where are you watching from, brother? Let me know where you're watching from. Are you in West Palm? Or did you decide to take a trip and go see someone you love? I hope so. I really don't know whether you're working or not working, but where you're watching from? Are you at work? What are you doing? But this is, the coronavirus is not the problem. That's my whole thing. I was thinking about it earlier and I was saying, why? Why is it that, and my heart, let me just say this. My heart and prayers go out to those that have lost a loved one, those that have lost their businesses, their jobs. My heart goes out to them. And we are in prayer like never before for those people, okay? My husband and I and my family. But I was thinking about how the corona's not the problem. The corona's not the problem. The problem is something I learned in recovery. As many of you know, I'm a recovering addict, and by the grace of God, it's going to be 29 years, November 19th, and only the grace of God, because I was a hope to die drug addict for 14 years, and His grace and His blood and His mercy washed me. But the coronavirus is not the problem. The problem, as my sponsor allowed me to understand, Cheryl, and if you're watching this, Cheryl Towns, I love you. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for all the things that I learned in recovery from you. The problem is not the corona. The problem is change. We don't do change really well. And that's the biggest thing. Our biggest problem right now is change. We're not used to change. You know, in recovery, one of the things that we say is, God, this prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And change is not what we do well. We do not like being at home. We do not like, one of the things I posted the other day, I went from being a CEO to a delivery girl. And I'm okay with that. And be okay with the fact that there is change happening in your life, that the kids are at home, that you have become, what is it called when you teach at home? Patience. Thank you so much, Bird. Thank you so much for watching. But what is it that when you teach your children at home, what my daughter and many parents are doing now, what is that called? It's kind of like a curse word. What is it? Can somebody post it below? What is that? It's homeschool? We don't like that. That's change. We do not appreciate the fact that we were so used to, and it's easy for me to say that, right? By God's grace, He knows exactly what I can and cannot do, and He will not give us more than we can handle, but by God's grace, He knows a homeschool mom is not what this girl's called for. So all of our kids are adults, and I'm grateful and thankful. But one of the things that I'm doing right now is I am teaching our grandchildren on FaceTime. I'm teaching them Spanish, because this grandma got to do something with the grandkids, right? But I was thinking, why is it that for me it's so much easier to do change? And it's because God allowed me to be birthed for such a time as this. And I want you to think the same. Where has change happened in my life? How has God prepared me to be right here? I was telling somebody, I'm an Uber driver, and I was telling somebody that if we were going to go through this is the time to go through it, right? Where we have the internet, where we can check in, where we're living in America. Like in the Dominican Republic, none of this is happening. We're not getting an unemployment and a stimulus check and the payroll protection plan and the federal government paying for our debt for 6 months. None of this is happening. We're blessed to live in America. And, you know, gratitude is my jam, and I'm going to find gratitude in it all. And I believe that that's one of the biggest things that we can do right now, because gratitude does transform our mindset. And if our minds are transformed, then we can be the people that Jesus, we just celebrated Easter. And Debbie, I love you. I can't read what you wrote, but I love you and thank you so much. But change, God has allowed you and I to be ready for this time. When I think about my life, we were laughing the other day because we do all these Zoom calls, and I have a sister, Giovanni, and I love my sister. And she's the one that actually brings everyone together. And we're on a call, and some of us are on WhatsApp, and some of us are on Zoom, and some of us are on the phone, and we're all these people together. And I said to my mom said, you know, you were born not in the capital. I was the only one that was not born in the capital. And I said, oh yeah, I know, I'm an accident. And my sister Belkis, who's like my protector, she goes, no, you were never an accident. And to God, I was never an accident. But my mom said that right before they moved to where I was born, she told my dad, listen, I am going to divorce you, because my dad was a gambler. And my dad was a great father, not a really good husband. He ran around with that woman and the other woman and did all this. But he was the best that he knew how to be. And my mom said, this is not going to work right now. And their idea of change and making things right is, let's move to La Romana, where I was born, which is very close to, if you ever been to the Dominican Republic, it's very close to like the tourist places. You have Los Altos de Chabón, and that's where I was born, where the rest of my siblings were born in the capital. And the reason why they went there is because my dad was not making good decisions. And my mom said, let's do something different. And they went there. So that was one of the, before I was even born, major change happened in our lives. Before I was born. Then my dad died when I was 3, major change, right? Then at 6 years old, my dad went to live in New York and kept us behind in the Dominican Republic because she was pregnant with my little sister. Major change. And I was telling my tia that lives in I'm gonna cry. I was telling my tia Angie, I was saying, you know what? My tia Lilian and you, I'm so grateful that the two of you helped my mother come when she was pregnant with my little sister, because if it was not for my tia Angie, who opened her home, and my tia Lilian, who helped my mother come to New York, I would not be here today during the time of this pandemic. I'm grateful and I'm thankful for my aunts that actually invested and sacrificed their space for us to be here. All 4 of my children were born here. My grandchildren were born here. I'm grateful and thankful. Why? Because a lot of third world countries do not have the infrastructure. Not that we're doing so good with it, but we do have a lot of help like no place else, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for that. And that's something that you can do. You can start counting your blessings. I heard from my sister that in the Dominican Republic they're giving you a bag of food, and I can only imagine, as everybody's coming together to get this bag of food, what's happening in that environment. And I cover my people with the precious blood of Jesus, and I ask God's health and protection over them as they come, because they're hungry to get a bag of food. And you and I are going to get a check for $1,200 that will buy a lot of bags of food. And where's our gratitude? Again, going back to what the problem is not the corona, it's change, is is because now I have to, shift and pivot and do something else. We own a gym and the gym is closed. So what are we going to do as a business to be able to continue to bring value to our clients? I don't know. I haven't figured that out. I don't know. And I'm sure you and I are in the same place. By God's grace, I have the other business that from day one, by God's grace, has helped to support this other business. Because for a year and a half, it's been a difficult time. We don't know how to do this thing, but we're trying and we're doing all that we can in the midst of transitioning, in the midst of change. I'm thankful right now. I'm grateful right now that I get to see my husband. A lot of you may not know, but there were about 3 months that we owned that business where my husband never came home on weekdays. He came home on weekends because he worked 17, 18 hours. Right? So we transitioned and we did whatever we needed to do. I pray that during this time, you are so committed to your family that you say, if I got to go to Publix and work there, I'm going to work there. If I got to go to McDonald's to work there, I'm going to go there. If I got to Uber, I'm going to do that. If I got to deliver food, I signed up for Chipped. I interview with Domino's. I will do anything and everything to make sure I live up to my commitment. So the problem is not the coronavirus. I don't think so. I think the problem is that you and I are so comfortable and we don't embrace change. And I am grateful. In my book, Gratitude Transformation, and this is not a plug for my book because I don't make a dime from that book. All the proceeds go to the Bahamas. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful that people have purchased that book because it's helped the people of the Bahamas, who are people that have been in need. And that's the only reason why that book became a bestseller. I am grateful for the things that I have gone through because I'm much more prepared today to face this. And so are you. If you go back, Christy, if you go back, Shanae, to the things that you have gone through, you will see and find ways and reasons to say, I can do this as well. At 6 years old, my mom left. I went through so much abuse from the age of 3 to 13 and eventually not made good decisions. Eventually turned, my focus towards drugs because that was what was actually putting that Band-Aid in me, right? Grateful because at 6, there was a huge change in my life. At 10 years old, we went from being with my grandfather and his wife, a place of safety, a place of normalcy, to now where we're going to go live with my crazy grandma, where so much abuse went on there. Where I was verbally abused, physically abused, because just color. And those are some of the things that I share in my book, Gratitude Transformation. I'm grateful for that today, because it allowed me to be the woman that God wanted me to become. And that was at 6 years old. At 10 years old, another change, because I finally had enough strength to actually say, listen, this is not working for me. At 10 years old, I told my entire family, this is not working. I'm either going to commit suicide or I'm going to leave, because this is not good for me. Major change again. Now I went to go live with my grandfather. Stuff happened there as well from 10 to 13. At 13, I went to New York, and more change, right? At 19, one of the most changing times in my life where I didn't even know who I was. I was gang raped and literally lost my mind for an entire year, in and out of mental institutions. Major change. I had to learn who I was and what I stood for and what was true and what was not true. Because the reason why I tried to commit suicide during that time and continue to stay in the hospital is because these voices in my head were saying if I didn't take my life, one of my family members were just gonna die. So major things. Evangelina, te amo. Dustin, thank you for watching. Major change, right? So it prepared me. I had to learn what was not true, what was true. At 21, I left New York. I left New York at 21. Major change. Then we went through so many changes, as I could not have children, as you know, my so many things that happened with my ex-husband, and I'm not going to go into that because this video is not about that. It's about, I can actually understand right now that I was born for such a time as this, because God had prepared me for all this, and God has prepared each and every one of you. You, like it says in God's word about Esther, you were born for such a time as this. You have to find within you the strength to be able to stay in movement, the strength to be able to continue to speak your truth, the strength to be able to say, I can do this. I have enough history with God that I know He's my Jehovah Jireh. I know He's my provider. I know that there's no weapon in hell that will ever come against me or my family that will ever prosper. I know that I can do hard. When I was a single mom and I moved here to Florida after the divorce, I waited for a whole year to invest in real estate. I waited. I learned the market. I became a real estate agent. I learned, because in my mind, being a public adjuster was not the thing that my children needed at that time. Although we had, the minute we moved here, we had 2 major hurricanes. I did not work hurricanes because I felt that that was going to take me away from my family. So I came here with money. I sold my house in California. And then after a year, after I thought I knew the market, I invested everything and lost everything as a single mom with 4 kids. Our budget for food was $30. To this day, some of my children will not eat spaghetti. To this day, some of my children will not eat peanut butter. It's like a curse because there was no money. But God provided then. I never stopped paying my mortgages. My mortgages were over $25,000, and God continued to bring checks from everywhere. The IRS sent me a check for thousands of dollars. I had a claim in my house, $42,000 I was paid. And I did the work for $1,200. I never stopped paying my mortgages because my integrity, if I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. I was brought up by grandparents. Maybe they were not perfect people, but they were committed. They were loyal to their commitments. And if you're a mom, if you're a dad, find enough strength within yourself to say, I can do Corona. I can do this thing. The world is changing, but I can go cut trees. I can go drive Uber. I can go do anything and everything because I am committed to my family. Because I am committed to what I said I would do. The coronavirus is not the problem. It's change. We don't do well with change. We don't do well with our loyalty. We don't do well with our commitment. There's sometimes, and I love my husband, okay, and I don't want to hear messages or text messages. Are you guys okay? Yes, we're fine. Better than ever. Thank be to God. Because we're actually spending a lot of time together. And I wanted that and needed that in my marriage. But there's some times where, I don't really like my husband, but I love him. I'm committed to him. And it doesn't matter what comes our way. We're going to make it through the storm. I told him yesterday, honey, I'm willing to ride that wave with you till kingdom comes. I hope that's your resolve. I'm ready to do this. You have it within you. Embrace change. Every time I embrace change and I turn towards God, God was able to help me and not only see me through, but see me shine through it. There's people today that knew me as I was going through adultery, through divorce, when my ex-husband was living with another woman, that said, I would have never known. Because you continue to smile, because you continue to be committed, because you continue to help, you continue to give of yourself. That needs to be you and I during this time like never before. Who is that old lady that needs grocery shopping. I should not have to be doing grocery shoppings for that old lady in your community. Chipped should not be the app that old lady's on to get her groceries delivered. It should be you and I watching and seeing the needs of others. Maybe it's just a no. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's I'm sorry. I had about a week ago, my ex-husband that called me and said, Glenis, I just don't know this with this whole coronavirus, what may or may not happen, but I want you to know that I'm sorry. I waited for that call 20 years, but I got the call. And maybe you are that person that needs to make that call and say, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm that person right now. You know, I was telling my husband, there's someone in my life right now that the relationship is not where it needs to be. And I have tried to make that right, and nothing has come up of it. But maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the time for me to try again. You know, instead of saying an excuse, what if? You know, and I'm not saying the corona. Understand that I don't fear the corona. I have a mask. And I have gloves, and I will wear them when they make me, because it makes me crazy. Okay, and I'm not saying do not wear your mask. I don't want to get a text on that. Wear your mask. Wear your gloves. Disinfect your cars, your space. Do all that you need to do to keep yourself going. Do all that. But for me, I tell you all that because I'm not fearful of the corona. I'm not. My fear is in God and God alone. I have faith that if the coronavirus and 10 other viruses came, God forbid, I have enough faith to put and keep my eyes on God. And I hope the same for you. During this time, it is an opportunity for us to stay in action. It is an opportunity for you to write that book. It is an opportunity, for God's sakes, clean your house. I was telling my husband, bless his heart, I said, you know, honey, I'm going to clean this space in the house that's mine, and it would be really nice if you do the same on your side. And, you know, this is the time. This is the time for us to, God forbid, I'm going to say it, but for me to start bringing down all that stuff that's in the attic. It's been there. It's going to be 10 years. I have boxes in the attic that I haven't gone through. I don't want my kids, when I pass away, to have to go through those boxes that were garbage, that were trash, stuff that I should have given away, sold, or thrown away. I don't want that for my kids. The last thing my kids need when I go to be with the Lord is to have to go through, I don't even know, 60 boxes in our attic. No, it doesn't need to be all that, right? This is the time. So embrace change. Embrace change. Allow change to change you into the men, the women that God intended for you to be. Take this opportunity to read that book, to write that book, to look into that side hustle, you know? I was telling my daughters, I'm like, you know, I would really, really, really love for you guys to try this workout program. I do bar blend, and I'm in love with Elise. And I said, you know, I could so see you guys doing this. You're both stay-home mommies. You could so rock this thing. You know, maybe something like that. You know, a side hustle that you can do right now. Do not get closed up and stay stuck. And especially do not stay stuck with, you know, doing nothing. You know, what is that? Netflix and Hulu and all. Like, seriously? I'm not saying I don't watch movies. I do. I do, but I pick the kind of movies I'm gonna watch. For the most part, I am in love with Pure Flix. Nobody told me about Pure Flix before. It is a hidden Christian secret, and I love Pure Flix. But you know what I mean? I'll watch a movie. I'm not saying I don't have downtime. I struggle with that, in all honesty. I struggle because I'm that type A personality, and I struggle with downtime. But it's okay. It's okay to be able to take time and watch a movie here and there, but it is not okay 6-8 hours of TV. It is not okay. Add up the hours that right now you are taking to do certain things that you were not doing before. Like, I can't even do the math in my head, but if you take, I think, 3 hours a day, I believe, and multiply it times 30 and then times 12, I think it's like 31 days in a year that we wasted watching TV. Like, that's not okay. And imagine if it was 6 or 8. So embrace change. You know, a lot of people, what is that saying? A lot of people want a miracle, but they don't want to place themselves in a place where they need a miracle, right? Change is good. We cannot, it's like working out. Unless you graduate from the 2 pound to the 5 pound to the 10 pound to the 15 pound, change is not going to happen. I continue to tell myself that, because it's hard just with a 2 pound doing bar blend. It's hard. It's challenging. And I keep saying, girl, you got to go to a 3, because it's just not going to support you building muscles, right? Embrace change. Embrace the fact that, yes, you're homeschooling those kids. But come on. Our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers, that generation to me was so much better, is because they embraced their call. Those kids, I tell my daughters all the time, if my situation was not different, that I became a single mom, I would have been a stay-home mom. I would have loved to have done that. Nobody can impart into our children like we can. It's not a burden. It's not a burden to raise our children. And all these things that we think are a need, they're a luxury. You know, I don't even know who was saying it the other day. Like, our priorities are so out of line. We have no money, yet people were running to go get toilet paper. Like, seriously, I grew up, and it may be disgusting, but I did not grow up with toilet paper. It was a luxury. It was not in our budget. Newspaper was the thing. And you actually did this, and that's what you used. Sorry, that's what we use. You know, all these women, you know, products, we didn't have any of that. Kind of gross, but we didn't. We used towels, and we boiled them, and we did what we needed to do. So just know that we have been spoiled. A lot of what we say need is a luxury. Embrace change. See where you can cut so that you can stay within budget. If I could do it as a single mom with $30 a week, it was all about the beans. I grew up on beans and rice. I will buy a huge bag of rice and beans and spaghetti. And then everywhere I went, it was bread and peanut butter. It's okay. It's okay. You and I can figure this out. We can figure this out, right? See who it is that needs our help as well. Because during a time of this coronavirus, this pandemic, when we come from a place of contribution, I worked last week and I made $245 driving Uber. And I went to this fire, and there was an older man that needed help. He lost everything. I gave him $220. Am I saying that for you to say, oh, how awesome Glenis is? It's hopefully to encourage you. You can actually work. If you don't need any money, that's okay. There's plenty of people that do, that are in need, that are, of course, take care of your family. But if you can spare and give to others, do that. Do that. Right now, I am committed to writing my second book, Fit Trinity. And it's where, fitness is not about, it's not about just the body, although it is. This is our temple, right? But it's a lot more, and especially now it's so much more. And I want the proceeds to go to people in need. What if you and I do that? What if you and I decide, you know what, maybe you're a graphic designer. I'm going to do this for someone so that they can. Maybe there's a business that is struggling right now, and you do videos and you're a graphic designer and you can do this. Maybe you can volunteer your time. We can all do something. I hope, and I continue to say that I hope that during this time we truly become the United States of America. We have a great name, but my gracious God, it seems like a lot of times we're the divided States of America. This is the time. If we're going to be united, let's do it like never before. I love you guys. I am encouraged by so many people posting good things out there. Not those, I was telling Corey yesterday or the day before, I said, I had not seen this individual for a long time, and I was so sad when I go on Facebook, and when I go on Facebook, the first post is the one I read. And because usually I'm not one that is on social media other than to do a video or comment on something that someone said about something I posted. But the first thing that's there is usually what I comment on. And this girl was, how this is so hard. She's at home with her little one. She's not working. She doesn't have this and she doesn't have that. And all this gloom and doom. And it was like so sad, because at that moment I was hoping to actually read something that could feed my spirit. We had a false alarm with someone in my family close to me that was having the symptoms of the corona, and my first words were, "Oh no, devil, you lying devil, I bind you and I rebuke you. This is not true for my family." And thank God it is not. But at that moment I was hoping to be encouraged, and I was discouraged. We don't know who is reading our stuff and who needs a word at that point, at that moment. So let's put all, kind of like a parent, right? If I had little ones right now at home, and I was at home with the kids, and I had a cold, or I had whatever headache, it would not matter. I would put all that to the side and be a mom, because that's what moms do, right? That's what moms do. They comfort, they protect, they love in spite of what they're going through. Well, this is the time for you and I to put our emotions and all that aside. And I'm not saying not to self-care, and I'm not saying not to process, but I'm saying, look, if you're going to infect and affect, let's infect and affect with a good message, because I need it, because we all need it right now. Because it is a time of transition. It is a time where people are scared. But if you are scared, I want you to know it's going to be okay. You're going to make it. You're strong. I always remember my sister in the most difficult times in my life, where I felt like I have lost my focus. Giovanni will always say to me, Glenis, if you ever forget your identity, you pick up the phone, because I'm going to remind you of who you are. And she'll say, you're a child of the living God. You're strong. I don't know another woman stronger than you. When I was in the hospital after my accident and I could not walk and all hell was coming against me, because the worst thing was not that I could not walk and I almost lost my life. It was all that the enemy brought. so many things that happened that I found out that happened years before in our family. The enemy brought all that. And I was so discouraged. And my sister said, listen, God has a plan for this too. Listen, you're going to be. Anyway, I'm going to end the live. I'm here at this fire, but if you forget your identity, just know that you're a child of the living God. He loves you. You're the apple of his eyes. You are precious in his sight. I told my BFF Minerva what my sister said to me last week. I said, you know what, Minerva, if you forget who you are, just pick up the phone. And I say to all of you, Robert, thank you so much for watching. Jessica, if you forget, just know that you're strong, you're courageous. The God in you is greater than the God of this world. You and I are going to be okay. Remember that faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. One of the things that's keeping me grounded and helping me right now is I'm seriously listening to about 10 messages a day. I go to Christ Fellowship and I listen to my pastors, but I also listen to T.D. Jakes, Sarah Jakes. I listen to Joel Osteen. That man just encourages me, right? I listen to Joyce Meyer. I listen to so many people that right now can speak into my life, and I pray that you're doing the same. You know those friends. You know those friends that you need to avoid right now. I'm not saying to not be friends with people, but you know those that stay in drama and live in drama, and that's their MO. Stay away from them until you cannot give from an empty cup. You got to be filled right now with God's word and encourage. And those that are like that frog that are pulling you down, stay away from them. Embrace change. Embrace change. Pebbles, I love you. I'm grateful and thankful. I was just talking about Sandy earlier on this video. So many things that Sandy has sent to me. So many wonderful things that she has sent to me to love on me, to encourage me. Those people are the people that you want to be really close to right now. Because right now we need each other. Right now we need a word that's going to encourage us, that's going to help us, that's going to strengthen us. I love you guys. Stay abundantly blessed. Have a good rest of the day. And the corona and nothing else is going to bring us down. God bless.